Welcome to Luma Sleep, where stories slow the world down and help you find rest. I'm Luma, your guide tonight. Thanks for being here. Tonight, we drift, not outward, but inward. We do not chase what has already passed. We do not gather what has already scattered. The body learns again how to loosen, how to fold itself into gentleness. Breath arrives, cool at the edges. Breath leaves, longer than before, like silk sliding from the hand. Shoulders grow light, the neck softens, the chest opens, not with effort, but with permission. Every thought that once insisted can rest now. Every duty can remain unfinished, untended, without harm. The room holds her kindly. Shadows are not sharp, but rounded, curved like bowls set quietly in place. Each inhale, a vessel filling. Each exhale, a vessel emptied with care, with patience. Silence thickens, yet it does not weigh. It lingers like a shawl of night air laid across the shoulders, steady, comforting. There is no story yet, only the steady descent toward stillness, and tonight she is allowed to follow it, to drift slowly into the waiting calm. Midnight is not absence, it is a doorway that opens quietly when the world forgets to look, where the hours loosen and time itself moves slower, as if careful not to wake what sleeps nearby. There is a hush that is not empty, but full of what lingers after noise has gone. In that hush, small things begin to matter. The weight of porcelain, the steam of water, the way still air carries warmth further than expected. Midnight is a table set for no one, yet waiting, a chair pulled close, though no hand has touched it. A room alive with gentle patience, as though it knows someone will arrive. It is not loneliness, it is not longing, it is simply space, a space tender enough to hold what the day could not. Here, a soft promise lingers that something as ordinary as tea can feel like shelter, can feel like return. And within this hour, just beyond silence, the story will quietly unfold. She walks slowly, as though the stones beneath her feet are listening. Her steps do not hurry. They fall like soft notes in an unfinished song. In her hands, she carries nothing but the outline of stillness, fingers curled loosely, palms open to the coolness of air. The night does not resist her. It lets her pass, quiet as smoke, certain as tide. She pauses once, tilting her face toward the faint trace of wind. It brushes her cheek like the memory of something kind. Before her, a doorway waits, wood darkened with years, its handle pale from countless touches. She does not force it. Her fingers rest lightly, testing the weight, testing the welcome. The door yields, not creaking, only sighing, as if relieved to be opened again. Inside, the room holds its breath, Tables stand, patient, porcelain stacked in quiet towers, and one small pot gives off steam, already waiting. She does not speak, she does not explain. Her presence is enough. She steps inside, and the air changes. It is warmer here, not with heat, but with patience. Walls breathe softly, lined with shelves that cradle jars sealed with silence. Her fingertips graze a table's edge. The wood is cool, smoothed by years of waiting. She does not sit. She lets the surface hold her hand as if the grain itself were listening. Porcelain glimmers faintly, stacked in quiet towers. Cups lean against saucers, their rims touching like friends in hushed conversation. She lifts one. It is light, delicate, a whisper of earth shaped into form. Her thumb follows the curve, tracing it slowly, as if remembering a forgotten word. The pot upon the counter still breathes steam, not hurried, not fierce, just the steady drift of warmth into air. She tilts her head, listening, though no sound stirs, only the faint pulse of liquid shifting, only the steady rhythm of her own breath falling into place. For a moment, she closes her eyes, and the room, as though in answer, closes its eyes too. She does not rush. She moves as though time itself has unknotted. The kettle waits, its handle worn smooth, its spout glistening with a single bead of heat. She lifts it slowly, and the weight surprises her, not heavy, not light, simply honest. Steam rises, thin and unbroken, curling in shapes that vanish before they can be named. She pours. The sound is gentle, a river learning to speak in whispers. It fills the porcelain cup with quiet amber, a small universe contained in stillness. She watches the surface quiver, then steady. Not a ripple remains, only the reflection of her lowered gaze. Her hand lingers, not holding, not releasing, just resting there, as though the warmth could travel inward and remind her bones to soften. The room exhales with her, the shelves, the tables, the unlit lanterns, all lean closer to her pause. In this first sip of silence, the night finally belongs to her. She does not drink yet. The cup rests before her, breathing faint spirals of warmth into the air between her hands. She studies it as if it holds a question she has not been asked aloud. The porcelain shines pale, its rim catching the lantern's dim light. A small chip hides along the edge, not sharp, not new, an old imperfection that seems softer now than when it was made. Her finger circles it once, and the motion stays with her, like the echo of touch on something nearly forgotten. She leans closer, the surface stirs, mirroring her breath, and she thinks of how easily the world moves, even when she does not. A clock somewhere ticks, not insistent, not demanding, just steady, like a reminder that waiting is also a kind of living. Still, she does not drink. She lets the tea remain, patient and full, as if the cup itself understands the silence she cannot yet name. And in that pause, the night feels wide enough to hold her. Across the table, a chair waits, its wooden frame slightly tilted, one leg uneven, so it rocks gently when the floor remembers to breathe. She looks at it, not to measure absence, but to notice presence, the way an empty place still carries weight. Her hand drifts toward it, hovering above the grain, but she does not touch. Some things remain more tender when left untouched. The lantern's glow stretches long, curling shadow into the seat, as if someone once sat there and forgot to rise. She imagines nothing more, no name, no face, only the soft outline of nearness that lingers without reason. The chair creaks lightly, a sound without voice, yet close enough to whisper. She exhales, slow, careful, as though her breath is what keeps the chair steady. And in that fragile moment, she feels less alone, not by company, but by the permission to share the silence with something that waits. From the untouched cup, steam drifts upward, slow as a thought that refuses to hurry. It does not climb in a straight line. It bends, it folds, it vanishes, reappears, as if the air itself is deciding what to keep. Her gaze follows it, not to find an ending, but to rest in the quietness of its wandering. For a moment, the tea shop feels softer, walls leaning closer, timber beams humming low, a hush that belongs only to rooms that know how to listen. She breathes with it, allowing the steam's rhythm to guide her own. Not force, not discipline, just a gentle echo, in and out, like the tide folding against the shore. A drop of tea slides along the cup's outer rim, tracing a path toward her waiting hand. She does not wipe it away. She lets it fall, a small gravity, a quiet truth. The steam still rises, her stillness remains, and between them, the night learns patience. Along the wall, a shelf leans heavy with jars, glass and clay, small and tall, each holding fragments of leaves, spices, petals dried into memory. She turns her head toward them, not moving closer, only letting her eyes wander among their quiet arrangement. One jar tilts slightly forward, its lid tied with faded string. Inside, fragments of lavender rest like pale embers, long past bloom, yet still carrying a gentleness that does not leave. Her breath brushes against her lips, slow, uncertain, as though she too has been sealed away, waiting for air to return. The wood beneath the shelf groans, a tired note that seems to ask nothing, only to remind her that holding weight is also a kind of offering. Her gaze drifts back to the cup, to the chair, then forward again to the jars. as though her eyes alone can stitch together the room. And in that weaving, the silence deepens, not heavy, but whole, like a fabric stretched wide enough to let her rest inside it. Beside the cup, a teaspoon lies still. Its handle catches the lantern's dim glow, a thin line of silver shining against the wooden table. She studies its stillness. It has not stirred sugar, has not touched the tea, yet it waits as though it already remembers the sweetness it once carried. Her fingertip brushes the edge, and the cool metal answers her warmth. No sound escapes, no clink, no stir, only the silence of something useful resting without demand. She turns her palm upward, leaving the spoon untouched. It feels enough to know that waiting can also shine. The lantern sways lightly, its glow bending across the spoon, stretching shadow into the curve, as if light itself is curious about stillness. She exhales, and the air trembles faintly, not breaking, not rushing, just reminding her that even the smallest object can carry a kind of quiet grace. The teaspoon remains, silver, patient, a simple witness to the night that does not hurry. Near the spoon, a napkin rests, folded once, creased gently along its center, like a page waiting to be opened. Its fabric is soft, not white, but the quiet shade of ivory that remembers many nights. She places her hand above it, not pressing down, only hovering, as if contact might blur the story it already holds. The napkin does not move, yet she imagines how it would feel against her palm, a texture of patience, woven threads of time keeping shape without protest. Her eyes follow the crease, a single line dividing surface, yet joining both sides at once. Something in that fold reminds her of herself, how even stillness can hold a secret turning, how quiet things sometimes carry more depth than what is spoken aloud. The lantern flickers once, shadow leaning closer, but the napkin stays steady, its crease unbroken, its silence complete. And with that sight, she breathes more easily, as if her own edges, too, might learn how to rest. Beneath her feet, the floor waits. Old planks, darkened by years, lined with quiet scars that no one bothers to hide. She lowers her heel gently, and the wood replies, a sigh more than a creak, as though it remembers the softness of many steps. Her toes rest within her shoes, not pressing forward, not retreating, simply finding stillness in the grain's patient rhythm. The boards hold her weight without question. They do not hurry her. They do not ask her to rise. They offer only ground, and in that offering, a kind of shelter. Her gaze remains forward, yet her body listens downward, to the earth beneath the planks, to the quiet truth that nothing needs to move for her to belong. The lantern hums, the tea cools, the floor stays steady, and in its steadying, She feels herself aligned, not lifted, not lowered, but kept exactly where she is. High on the wall, a clock leans forward, its face pale, its hands slow. The tick is not sharp, it is softened, rounded at the edges, like water tapping stone. She tilts her head, listening, not for the hour, not for the measure, but for the rhythm that asks nothing of her. Each second passes without urgency. Each mark drifts like a pebble, sinking through a deep and quiet pool. Her breath joins it, in, out, a private metronome that keeps no score. She notices a faint crack along the glass, a line that catches light and turns it gentle, as though even broken things can soften time. The hands keep moving, yet the night does not change. The tea remains, the chair remains, her stillness remains. And for once, the clock feels less like a reminder of what passes and more like a promise that nothing here needs to be rushed. Above her table, the lantern sways. Not much, only the quiet movement of flame within glass, shifting shadow across the room. The light does not hold still. It drifts across jars, slides down the chair, touches the cup's surface, then folds itself back into the corners. She watches it wander, flicker, soften, never deciding, never staying. For a moment, her own breath follows, slower, lighter, like smoke learning to rest against air. The lantern hums faintly, metal warmed by fire, its glow thinning and thickening with every sigh of flame. She places her hand on the table. Shadows gather beneath her fingers, dark yet tender, shaped by the same light that softens her face. The lantern sways again, not to disturb her, but to remind her that even the smallest flame is allowed to move, allowed to tremble, without being less bright. And in its breath, she feels her own trembling become less heavy, less sharp, a gentleness she can finally keep. Steam no longer rises. The tea has quieted, settling into a calm surface that reflects only the lantern's softened glow. She leans closer, not to drink, but to see herself blurred in the faint shimmer. Her face is not clear, only fragments, the curve of a cheek, a flicker of an eye, dissolving as the surface trembles with each breath she gives. She does not correct it. She lets the blur remain, accepting the way water forgets while still holding. Her fingertips graze the table's edge, slowly, as if learning the grain by memory. The wood answers back with its steady roughness, unpolished yet kind. Around her, the shop settles. Jars lean in shadow. The chair waits without sound. The lantern hums with its small fire. Her chest loosens. Her shoulders fold. Her body begins to trust gravity. And in the still surface of the tea, she sees nothing sharp, nothing urgent, only the permission to remain unfinished and already enough. Shadows gather slowly now. They stretch along the shelves, curl beneath the chair, settle against the floorboards like fabric folded for the night. Her gaze drifts there, not searching, not naming, only watching the way darkness softens what was once sharp. Every outline loosens. The jars lose their labels. The clock hides its numbers. Even the spoon, once bright with silver, dims into a gentle hush. She lets her eyelids lower, not closed, not open, halfway between, as if the room itself is teaching her how to rest. A faint hum stirs through the beams, perhaps the lantern, perhaps the air. It is not a sound that needs answer. It is simply the night reminding her it is alive. Her breath lengthens, matching the room's quiet rhythm. She lifts her hand briefly, then lets it fall, and the small motion feels like the closing of a page. Around her, the corners deepen, not with emptiness, but with calm, and in their presence, she discovers that even what cannot be seen can hold her gently. Silence stretches wider. It fills the spaces between ticking, between flicker, between her own breaths. She leans back slightly, shoulders easing downward, spine curving into the chair's quiet hold. Her hands rest open on her lap, palms loose, fingers uncurled, as though the night has taught them how to let go. The tea cools without notice. The spoon waits without shine. Every object folds into stillness, a chorus of patience that needs no conductor. She listens, not with ears, but with her whole body, to the tender absence of anything asking for her. Her eyelids lower further, weightless, like thin curtains swaying at the edge of sleep. The lantern sways once, its flame bowing low, casting a brief shimmer across the wood before settling back into calm. Even her breath slows, no longer counted, no longer urged, only arriving, only leaving, like the soft tide of a dream, not yet begun. And in this breath between, the shop holds her steady until she is nearly gone. The cup remains untouched. Its warmth has faded, yet it waits as if waiting is enough. She does not lift it. She does not need to. The tea has already given her its quiet gift, not through taste, but through presence. Her gaze drifts once more across the table's grain, following its long lines that stretch without hurry, paths that never demand an end. The lantern flickers low, its flame softer now, curling into itself like a petal at rest. She closes her eyes halfway, and in that dim blur, the room folds deeper, edges dissolving until only gentleness remains. Her breath lingers slow, her chest rises, falls like a rhythm written in air long before she arrived. The cup cools fully, the chair stays steady, the night does not change, and in her stillness she understands. Sometimes it is enough to let things remain unfinished, yet whole. The room exhales with her. Shelves lean deeper into shadow. Jars lose their faces, becoming only shapes in softened dark. corners fold together, quiet as paper never pressed. Her gaze no longer wanders, it rests downward, not heavy, but trusting. The lantern hums, its light a muted ember, a flame content to fade. Wood cradles her spine, forgiving, steady, a seat that holds without demand. Breath lingers now, longer between steps. Each inhale forgets the urgency of return. Beyond the walls, nothing presses, no wind, no call, only hours folding back into themselves. Her hand slips lower, touching cloth, settling without thought. And as the room surrenders, she follows, not falling, not rising, simply dissolving, like steam leaving warmth, like silence keeping its promise. Her breathing slows again, one more pause, longer than the last. The ember folds inward, a glow vanishing without farewell. Shadows gather, but gently, not to hide her, only to keep her. The chair no longer feels like wood, it feels like water, like earth, like the safest hollow of night. No thought arrives, no image lingers, only the faint rhythm of her chest, rising, settling, forgetting return. The shop holds still, its walls listening, its shelves resting, its silence becoming the only story left. And as she drifts, the hours lean close, not rushing her, not counting, only breathing beside her. She dissolves into that nearness, and when nothing remains but the quiet between heartbeats, the night stays with her, endlessly, tenderly, as if it always had.